Okay, 8th graders, we're on 9-1, page 481. We're going to talk about congruence and transformations, which are what you kind of just went over. All right, so congruence means equal, totally equal. So you can show two figures are congruent if the second can be obtained by a sequence of rotation, reflections, and or translations. So we did the reflections and the translations before. The rotations was in one of the previous sections too, if you want to see that. But I'm going to break it down and make it real simple for you. Over here, that looks like a reflection one. Here it was rotated and translated. There, all the same. We're going to skip to page 484. And you're going to determine if triangle DEF is congruent to triangle HGI. HGI. Remember, the middle one will be the one that you say second or the one you point to second. Okay, so here they're going to show it. So in some of these you'll be asked, how can you determine? Well, you would translate it up so many and then rotate it so many and then reflect it by so many, yada yada. That I don't care so much that you can get. That's great if you're going to learn graphic design, architecture, engineering. You'll have to look more into that. Just know it's there. But to just figure out if something is congruent, for simplicity's sake, you can just kind of count the lines and see if it matches. So these are triangles, so there's 1, 2, 3. Look at the bottom, 1, 2, 3. And I know that DF lines up with HI because this is not the diagonal one and it's the shorter of the two legs. So there's 3 there, but now let's look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. All right, so you could find the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean theorem or whatever to officially determine that they're congruent, but it's pretty safe to say, yeah, those are congruent. On page 485, same thing. Is triangle ABC congruent to triangle XYZ? So there's 2 and 2. Okay, this one has 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Yeah, those would be congruent. You could translate, rotate, and reflect a variety of ways to get it to show, yeah, it is. Here's that. I don't care that you put the all the different ways down, just that you can determine quickly if it's congruent or not. So they did a translation, a reflection followed by a translation, up 4 units, mapped it, blah, blah, blah. That's great, but I don't care so much. Down here, let's see. This is a figure. So we have quadrilateral here. We got 2 sides there, 2 here, 2 on top, 2 on top, 3 on bottom, 3 on bottom. And the diagonal goes the same direction. So I'm going to say, yeah, those are congruent. Next page is shape EFGH, the trapezoid. Is it congruent to trapezoid IJKL? So the top little one here is 1. The bottom, or I'm sorry, the side leg is 3. And then this is 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2. Oh, they're not congruent. Not congruent. This is too small. Okay, so that one little thing throws it off. This is easy. Are these congruent? No, not congruent, totally different shapes. So that's kind of easy. Over here, to identify the transformation, it just shows how you can flip images, which is what the last chapter went over. This stuff is important, like I said, in graphic design. If you're making a sign for Diamond Plumbing, a logo, then you're going to need to know how to make things congruent or similar, which will be section 2. This company would want to have the D and the P congruent, so it kind of plays with your eyes and it looks more pleasing. So can this be congruent to that? Yeah. And look, you could rotate it up, flip it, and it would be identical to the D. And that's where it's important. So that's basically it. On the practice problems, just kind of go through and see if it's congruent or not. Just try a couple problems. Here you can see this is the diagonal. They're all kind of tricky here. So what I would do best is just say, okay, it went diagonal 2 here, diagonal 2 there. All right, and then it went 1, 2, 3 diagonal there. 1, 2, 3, about 3. I would say that would be congruent. It's about there. This one is not congruent because, as you can see, even though this has 3 and this has 3, A and B has 1, E and F has 1, there are 3 here and 5 here. So this would be not congruent. This would be congruent. Over here, same sort of things. That's congruent. That would be congruent. That one looks to be congruent, but you'd have to reflect it, blah, blah, blah. So that's congruence and transformations in a really brief nutshell.